My mother called me dramatic when I asked why my 7-year-old daughter was left at a Shell station 340 miles from home while her dog got a window seat in our family SUV. "Princess gets carsick in the back," she said. Like that explained everything. 5 days later, when the police showed up at her door with a warrant, she finally understood that some bridges, once burned, light up the whole sky. I'm Melanie Trent, 38 years old, and I teach art to middle schoolers who think painting is boring until I show them how to capture lightning in watercolor. My daughter Hazel is 7, with my stubborn chin and her father's gentle eyes. She draws butterflies on everything: napkins, homework folders, the foggy car window when it rains. Dennis, my husband, sells insurance and builds furniture in our garage, measuring twice and cutting once, just like he approaches every family crisis. My mother, Joyce, retired from Wells Fargo 2 years ago with a perfect attendance record and an inability to apologize that spans 6 decades. My father, Roger, delivered mail for 30 years and never once stood up to her, not even when she threw out his model train collection because it was cluttering the basement. My younger sister, Francine, sells houses to people who can't afford them and married Nathan, who owns the biggest Ford dealership in Chicago's suburbs. Their son, Colton, is 9 and has never heard the word no in his entire life. Then there's Princess, a 60-pound golden doodle who eats organic salmon and has her own Instagram account with 12,000 followers. Francine bought her from a breeder who charged more than my monthly mortgage payment. That dog has a therapeutic massage therapist. I'm not joking. Every Thursday at 3 o'clock. The story I'm about to tell you happened on July 15th, the day my family drove away from a gas station in Wisconsin while my daughter stood inside clutching her purple backpack, watching our taillights disappear. They needed room in the car, you see. And between a 7-year-old girl who'd spent weeks excited about her first big family trip and a dog who supposedly had anxiety, they chose the dog. But here's what my mother didn't know when she made that choice. She didn't know that I'd been documenting every slight, every dismissal, every time they treated Hazel like she was invisible. She didn't know that Dennis had been recording their conversations when they thought he was checking work emails. She didn't know that the gas station had security cameras, or that the teenage attendant would remember everything, or that 3 separate customers would give statements about seeing a woman screaming in the parking lot while her family drove away. Most importantly, she didn't know that sometimes the quiet daughter, the one who always kept the peace, who always apologized first, who always made excuses for everyone else's behavior, sometimes that daughter discovers exactly where her line is. And that line is painted purple, like her daughter's backpack, abandoned on concrete 340 miles from home. The annual Trent family reunion at grandfather's old lake house in Minnesota had been tradition for 23 years. Every July, 3 generations would pile into cars and make the 8-hour drive from Chicago. The house sat on Lake Vermilion, a fading blue Craftsman with a wraparound porch where Grandpa Eugene used to smoke his pipe and tell stories about working the railroad. He'd been gone 4 years now, but Joyce insisted we keep the tradition alive. "It's what Eugene would have wanted," she'd say, though I'm pretty sure Grandpa would have wanted us to actually like each other. This year was supposed to be special because it was Hazel's first time making the full trip without needing a car seat. She'd grown 3 inches since Christmas, proudly reaching the height marker at Walgreens that said she was officially a big kid. Dennis and I had spent weeks preparing her for the journey. We'd practiced car games, downloaded audiobooks about butterflies, and bought those organic fruit snacks that cost $6 a bag because regular ones gave her headaches. "Mommy, do you think Grandma Joyce will like my new drawings?" Hazel had asked that morning while we packed. She was wearing her favorite purple dress, the one with butterflies embroidered on the pockets. Her gap-toothed smile broke my heart a little because I knew the answer. Joyce hadn't looked at one of Hazel's drawings in 2 years, not since Francine's son Colton started winning junior golf tournaments. His trophies lined Joyce's mantle. Hazel's artwork went straight into my filing cabinet at home, every single piece dated and saved because someone had to prove they mattered. The plan seemed simple enough when Joyce emailed it out 2 weeks before, complete with a color-coded spreadsheet because retirement had given her too much time to micromanage. 2 vehicles for 8 people. Dennis would drive our Honda with his work equipment since he'd promised to help renovate the dock. He'd been planning it for months, sketching designs on graph paper, ordering special wood screws that wouldn't rust. "This doc will outlast all of us," he'd said. And I'd kissed him, because that's who he was. Someone who built things to last in a family that discarded people like old newspapers. The rest of us would ride in Nathan's brand new Suburban, the one he'd gotten with his year-end bonus. "Top of the line," he'd bragged at Easter dinner. "Seats 8 comfortably, 9 in a pinch. Leather interior, heated seats, rear entertainment system. Cost more than some people's houses." He'd laughed at his own joke while I calculated that it cost exactly twice what Dennis and I still owed on our mortgage. The seating arrangement was precise. Roger and Joyce in the middle captain's chairs because Joyce's back couldn't handle the third row. Nathan driving with Francine. Beside him. Colton, Hazel, and me in the back. Even Princess would have space in the cargo area with her memory foam bed and portable water bowl. Joyce had sent 3 emails about the configuration. "No changes," the last one said. "This maximizes comfort for everyone." The night before departure, we'd had our traditional pre-trip dinner at Joyce's house. She'd made her famous pot roast, the one she only cooked for special occasions, while Francine brought a salad she'd obviously bought pre-made and put in her own bowl. I'd made dessert, a from-scratch chocolate cake that Hazel had helped decorate with frosting butterflies. Colton had taken one bite and announced it was too sweet, so Joyce immediately produced ice cream just for him. "Remember," Joyce had said, raising her wine glass while the rest of us sat with water and lemonade because she'd forgotten to offer anything else, "this is about family togetherness. No phones, no distractions, just the Trents being Trents." Francine had laughed, that tinkling sound she'd perfected in her Pi Beta Phi days at Northwestern. "Absolutely, Mom. Quality family time." She'd scratched Princess behind the ears while saying it, never once looking at Hazel, who was showing Colton her butterfly identification book. He'd pushed it away to play on his phone, and nobody said anything about the no phones rule. Dennis had squeezed my hand under the table, our silent signal that meant just a few more hours. We'd gotten good at those signals over the years. The hand squeeze for hang in there, the subtle head tilt for time to go, the brief eye contact that said, "I see it too." We'd developed a whole language around surviving my family. The morning of departure came bright and clear. Dennis left at 5:30 to get a head start, kissing Hazel's forehead while she slept. "See you at the lake, butterfly," he'd whispered. I should have gone with him. I should have trusted my instinct that said something would go wrong. But I wanted to believe, just once, that my family could treat my daughter like she mattered. I was wrong. "Slight change of plans," Nathan announced at 7:15 that morning, checking his phone as we loaded the Suburban in Joyce's driveway. His expression was casual, like he was mentioning a minor weather update. "My brother Rick and his girlfriend want to catch a ride. They'll meet us at the Rockford rest stop." I watched the smile fade from Hazel's face as she counted on her fingers, something her first-grade teacher had taught her. "But Mommy, that's too many people. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 people." Before I could respond, Francine was already rearranging reality to fit her narrative. "Oh, it'll be fine. We'll make it work. Rick's girlfriend is tiny, and Princess can sit on my lap instead of the cargo area. She gets so anxious back there anyway. Remember last time she threw up?" "Princess threw up because you fed her bacon before a car ride," I pointed out. But Francine was already directing Nathan to rearrange the luggage to make room for Rick's things. Joyce emerged from the house with her travel coffee mug, the one that said, "World's Best Grandma," that Colton had given her. Hazel had given her one too, handmade in art class, but it lived in the back of a cabinet somewhere. "What's this about Rick?" "He needs a ride. His car broke down," Nathan explained, though we all knew Rick's car had been broken down for 3 years, while he spent his money on cryptocurrency and golf clubs. "Well, family helps family," Joyce declared, settling into her captain's chair like a queen taking her throne. "We'll figure it out." The Rockford rest stop was 40 minutes away. Rick stood there with his girlfriend Ashley, who couldn't have been older than 22 and wore yoga pants with "Blessed" printed across the back. She talked nonstop about her essential oils business and how she was going to revolutionize wellness. Rick had 2 duffel bags and a cooler. "Just a few beers for the lake," he said, winking at Nathan. The configuration became immediately impossible. 10 people in an 8-person vehicle. Hazel ended up crushed against the window with Colton's elbow in her ribs, and Ashley somehow taking up space for 2 people despite being 5 feet tall. Princess, All 60 pounds of her sat on Francine's lap, but kept putting her paws on Hazel's legs, her nails scratching through Hazel's thin leggings. "Mommy, it hurts," Hazel whispered to me. But when I tried to move Princess, Francine snapped that I was agitating her anxiety. 3 hours into the drive, my daughter had been silent for the last 30 minutes. She couldn't reach her backpack with her coloring books. She couldn't move without Colton complaining. She couldn't even see out the window properly because Ashley had reclined her seat all the way back. We pulled into a Shell station near Madison. Joyce made the announcement while everyone was stretching their legs. "This is ridiculous. We need to make some adjustments." She turned to me with that practiced look of false concern she'd perfected over decades. "Melanie, honey, why don't you and Hazel ride with Dennis? Call him to turn around and pick you up." "Dennis is 2 hours ahead of us, Mom. His phone's been off since he started driving. He always listens to audiobooks on long trips." "Well, we can't keep going like this," Roger chimed in, studying the gas pump like it held the secrets of the universe, refusing to meet my eyes. "Rick paid for gas, and Princess is practically hyperventilating." I looked at Princess, who was wagging her tail and drinking from a water bottle Francine held for her. "She looks fine to me." Francine was already getting out, stretching dramatically like she'd been tortured. "I mean, it makes sense. Dennis has all that empty space. Hazel's small enough to sit with the equipment." "The truck is full of lumber and power tools," I said, my voice rising, despite my efforts to stay calm. "There's no room and it's not safe. There aren't even proper seats back there." "Stop being dramatic," Joyce cut me off, using the tone she'd used my entire childhood, the one that meant the discussion was over. "We'll figure something out at the next stop. Hazel can wait here while we sort it out. The station's well lit. There's a nice attendant inside. We'll call Dennis from the road when we get signal." "You're not seriously suggesting we leave my daughter at a gas station?" Nathan was already ushering everyone back to the car, his hand on Rick's shoulder. "Look, Mel, it's just logistics. We'll call Dennis in 20 minutes, tops. He'll turn around, grab you both. Easy solution. This place has cameras. Security, it's perfectly safe." I watched in disbelief as Francine lifted Princess into the car, carefully adjusting her special seatbelt harness that cost $80. "Come on, Hazel's a big girl, right, sweetie?" She didn't wait for Hazel to answer, didn't see the tears starting to form in my daughter's eyes. "Mommy?" Hazel's voice was small, confused, scared. "Get in the car, Melanie," Joyce ordered. "We're wasting time. The attendant will watch her. Stop making this a bigger deal than it is." When I refused to move, when I wrapped my arms around my daughter and planted my feet on that oil-stained concrete, my mother's mask finally slipped completely. Her face twisted into something ugly, something I'd seen glimpses of my whole childhood but never directed at Hazel before. "For God's sake, Melanie, she's 7, not 3. Stop babying her. Francine's dog is having a panic attack, and you want to prioritize your daughter's comfort over a living creature's medical needs?" "Princess doesn't have panic attacks, Mom. She's literally eating treats right now." Joyce's voice went ice cold. "Get in the car, or we're leaving you both. I'm not playing games with you today." The choice was ripped from me when Nathan physically guided me toward the Suburban, his car salesman hands firm on my shoulders while Francine distracted Hazel with $1 for the vending machine. My sister bent down to Hazel's level, her voice sweet like antifreeze. "Just 10 minutes, sweetie. Get yourself a treat and wait inside where it's cool. We'll work out the space problem and come right back." "Mommy will figure this out, baby," I heard myself saying, hating my weakness, hating that I was allowing this to happen even as Nathan practically pushed me into the vehicle. Hazel nodded, trying to be brave, clutching that dollar bill like a lifeline. The last thing I saw as we pulled away was Hazel's purple backpack on the ground where she'd dropped it, and her small face pressed against the gas station window watching us leave. Nathan drove for exactly 3 minutes before pulling into a McDonald's parking lot. "Okay, Mel, hop out here. Dennis should be able to find you easier on the main road. Better cell reception, too." I stared at him in complete disbelief. "Are you insane? You want me to stand on the highway? My daughter is back at that gas station." "There's a McDonald's right here." Francine pointed, her manicured nail tapping the window. "You can wait inside, call Dennis, get an Uber, whatever. Problem solved. We need to make good time if we're going to get to the lake before dinner." My 7-year-old daughter is 3 miles back at a gas station alone. The attendant is watching her, Joyce said firmly, examining her phone like this conversation bored her. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. She's safe. You'll get Dennis to turn around. Everyone wins. Stop being so difficult. They left me at that McDonald's. Just drove away while I was screaming at them to turn around, while I was pounding on the window, while an elderly couple eating breakfast watched in horror. My phone had 12% battery. Dennis's phone went straight to voicemail because he always turned it off for audiobooks on long drives, something they all knew. I used my dying phone to call an Uber, $68 to go 3 miles back to the Shell station. The driver, a woman named Maria, took one look at my face and drove as fast as she could. You okay, honey? You need me to call someone? My daughter. They left my daughter. Maria hit the gas harder. Those 12 minutes stretched like hours. Every second was a slideshow of horrors. What if someone took her? What if she tried to walk somewhere and got hit by a car? What if she thought I'd abandoned her on purpose? What if she was crying and scared and calling for me? Hazel was sitting in the corner booth of the gas station's tiny food area, her butterfly coloring book open, tears streaming steadily down her face. The attendant, a teenage boy whose name tag read Tyler, looked relieved to see me. Ma'am, I didn't know what to do. She said her family was coming back, but it's been almost an hour. I was about to call the police. She won't eat anything, won't talk, just keeps coloring the same butterfly over and over. Mommy, Princess needed my seat, Hazel whispered when I gathered her into my arms. Grandma Joyce said I was being selfish. Did I do something bad? No, baby. You did nothing wrong. Nothing at all. We took another Uber to the nearest car rental place. 340 miles from home, I maxed out my personal credit card on a Toyota Camry. As I drove, Hazel colored in her book, occasionally sniffling. Are we still going to the lake, Mommy? No, baby, we're going home. Is Daddy coming home too? I looked at her in the rearview mirror, this perfect child who'd been deemed less important than a dog, who was still trying to understand what she'd done wrong. Yes, Daddy's coming home. The drive back gave me 5 hours to think and plan. By the time we reached Chicago, I'd made 17 phone calls. My cousin Sandra, who was a family lawyer, my friend from college who worked at Child Protective Services, the principal at my school who'd been through something similar with her ex-husband's family. Each call strengthened my resolve. Each person I told reacted with the same shock and anger. This wasn't going to be swept under the rug like every other time they'd hurt us. Not anymore. Dennis finally called when he reached the lake house at 4 p.m, confused to find chaos instead of the usual arrival celebration. Where are you? Your mom's saying you abandoned Hazel and took off. She's telling everyone you had some kind of breakdown. Check the Find My iPhone I set up on Hazel's iPad, I told him calmly. Screenshot everything showing our location timeline, then pack your things and come home. Mel, what's going on? Your dad is saying something about you causing a scene at a gas station. They left our daughter at a Shell station in Wisconsin to make room for Francine's dog. Joyce is already spinning the story. You need to decide right now, Dennis. Them or us. The silence lasted 5 seconds. I counted them. I'm packing now. I'll be home by morning. Drive safe. And Dennis, record everything they say about this before you leave. 5 days passed in careful preparation. Dennis had returned with 3 hours of audio recordings on his phone of my family revising history. In their version, I'd thrown a tantrum about seating arrangements and dramatically left with Hazel to manipulate everyone. They'd already posted photos on Facebook from the lake, Princess featured prominently, with captions about family time with those who matter. We'd met with Sandra, my lawyer cousin, who'd listened to everything with growing anger. This is abandonment, Melanie. Clear cut. That gas station has cameras. We have the Uber receipts, the car rental receipt showing the time. The attendant gave a statement. 3 witnesses saw you screaming in the McDonald's parking lot. Tuesday afternoon, I was teaching my 6th graders about perspective in art when my phone rang. Joyce's shrill voice through the speaker was almost unrecognizable. Melanie, what have you done? There are police at my door. Real police officers with badges and a warrant. I have no idea what you're talking about, I replied evenly, watching my students sketch their horizons. They're saying something about abandonment charges. Child endangerment. They want us to come to the station. All of us. Even Nathan. In the background, I could hear Francine screaming, "This is insane. It was just logistics. We were coming back. Tell them we were coming back." "Mom," I said quietly, stepping into the hallway, "you left my 7-year-old daughter alone at a gas station in Wisconsin. The surveillance footage is quite clear. The attendant, Tyler, gave a detailed statement. 3 witnesses saw you drive away while I was screaming for you to stop. You were there. You agreed to the arrangement. I was forced into your vehicle while trying to protect my child. Nathan physically moved me. That's on camera, too. The gas station had very good cameras, Mom. Multiple angles." Roger's voice came through, weaker, broken. "Melanie, we're family. You don't do this to family." "Family doesn't abandon 7-year-olds to make room for dogs, Dad." "It was a misunderstanding," Joyce pleaded, her voice cracking. "We'll say it was miscommunication. Drop the charges and we'll work this out. We'll apologize. Like you worked out Christmas last year, when Hazel's presents were accidentally left at home, but Princess got a custom collar with real diamonds? Or her birthday when you forgot to come but made it to Colton's game the same day." Francine grabbed the phone, her real estate agent composure completely gone. "You vindictive witch! You're ruining everything over one mistake, one time. This will destroy Nathan's business." "One mistake?" I laughed, and it felt good. "Francine, I have 3 years of documented incidents. Every family gathering where Hazel was excluded, every birthday forgotten, every achievement ignored while Colton got standing ovations for participation trophies. My lawyer says it establishes a pattern of emotional abuse." "Your lawyer?" Nathan's voice now trying to sound threatening but wavering. "You think you can afford to fight us? I'll bury you in legal fees. I know every lawyer in Chicago." "Actually, Nathan, remember that rental car I got in Wisconsin? Well, on the way back, we stopped at Dennis's mother's house in Indianapolis. You know Patricia? The one you've all refused to visit for 5 years because she called Joyce out for playing favorites? Turns out Grandma Patricia has been waiting for a reason to update her will. She was very interested to hear how her great-granddaughter was treated." Silence fell like a hammer. "Did you know she owns 40% of that pharmaceutical company her late husband founded? She's been looking for a worthy cause for her money. Protecting Hazel became that cause. Her legal team is handling everything pro bono." "You can't do this," Joyce whispered. "I already did." "Oh, and Joyce? You really should delete your group chat called Family Minus the Drama Queen before committing child endangerment. Those screenshots where you all discussed leaving us behind before we even got in the car that morning, where Francine suggested Princess needed my seat, where you said I needed to learn my place. My lawyer particularly enjoyed those." The police officer's voice was clear in the background. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us now." The best part came an hour after that first call. Dennis's phone rang as we sat together on our couch, Hazel coloring between us, finally calm after days of nightmares about being left behind again. "Mel?" It was Roger, alone, his voice quiet and strange. "I need to tell you something. I've been documenting things too, for years. Joyce doesn't know. I have videos, recordings, pictures. I never knew how to stop it. But Hazel at that gas station, I keep seeing her face in the window. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I keep seeing my granddaughter watching us drive away." "Why are you telling me this, Dad?" "Because tomorrow, I'm going to my own lawyer. And then I'm driving to Indianapolis to meet Patricia. Hazel deserves better. You deserved better. Maybe it's too late for us, but not for her. I should have stood up to Joyce 40 years ago. I'm standing up now." 6 months later, Hazel and I sat in a real art studio, the one Patricia had helped us convert from our garage. The walls were covered with Hazel's butterfly paintings, each one dated and framed properly. Dennis had taken a remote position with a company in Indianapolis, preparing for our planned move closer to his mother, the woman who'd welcomed us with tears and fury when she heard what happened, the grandmother who'd immediately set up a college fund for Hazel and told her she was precious. The restraining order was permanent. The criminal charges were reduced to misdemeanors with community service, but the real punishment was social. Nathan's dealership couldn't survive the local newspaper story titled, "Local Business Owner Charged with Child Abandonment. Chose Dog Over Niece." Turns out people who buy family cars care about how you treat actual families. Joyce and Francine were required to complete 200 hours of community service at a children's shelter. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. They had to watch how real families treated children, how mothers fought for kids who weren't even theirs, how love was supposed to look. Roger lived alone now in a small apartment downtown, the divorce papers signed within 3 months. He came for supervised visits every Sunday, teaching Hazel origami, something he'd hidden as a hobby for 40 years because Joyce thought it was childish. Butterflies were always my favorite, too, he'd told her that first visit, folding perfect purple paper wings, and she'd hugged him like he was brand new. Their relationship grew slowly, carefully, like something fragile learning to trust sunlight. He never made excuses for the past, never tried to minimize what happened. "I failed you both," he said simply. "I'm trying to do better." And he was. Every Sunday he showed up. Every butterfly she drew got his full attention. Every story she told mattered. Francine sent one last message before the no-contact order went into effect. "Princess died last month. Anxiety attack. Hope you're happy." I looked at Hazel painting monarchs on a canvas bigger than she was, her purple dress splattered with orange and black paint, and wrote back, "I'm teaching my daughter that she matters more than anyone's comfort. So yes, I'm happy." Dennis found the response perfect. "You know what the truth about family is?" he said that night, watching Hazel show Patricia her newest painting over video call. "It's not about blood making you obligated to accept abuse." He was right. Real love doesn't keep score of who's worth more. It doesn't make children compete with dogs for car seats. It doesn't leave 7-year-olds at gas stations. It doesn't document hurt for years without speaking up until it's almost too late. That gas station in Wisconsin wasn't where they left my daughter. It was where they lost her, and where I finally found my strength, where I learned that being dramatic isn't refusing to accept abuse. Being dramatic is expecting a child to understand why a dog matters more than she does. Hazel looked up from her painting, purple paint on her nose, the same color as that backpack from 6 months ago. "Mommy, is Grandpa Roger coming tomorrow?" "Yes, baby." "Good. I want to show him how butterflies aren't fragile. They fly thousands of miles. They migrate and survive storms. They're actually really strong." She was right. We'd flown far from that gas station, transformed from the family that stayed quiet to the family that stood up. Some bridges are meant to burn. They light the way to better places, to people who see your worth without needing a court order to acknowledge it. Patricia calls every day now. Roger visits every week. Dennis builds furniture that will last generations. And Hazel? She paints butterflies and knows she matters. Some families are born. Others are built from the ashes of the ones that failed you. We're building something beautiful. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear that. Standing up for yourself isn't dramatic. It's necessary. Leave a comment about what you would have done in this situation. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories about families, strength, and finding your voice when it matters most. Thank you for listening.